Always listen to the fans. Always listen to the words of the fans. Fans understand their club. Fans totally embrace the culture of the club. Fans know the DNA of their football club, and fans know what their football club is supposed to represent. And when Manchester United fans boo their team from the Stretford end at home off the back of a 3-1 defeat to Brighton and Hove Albion, something has gone wrong, because Manchester United fans are not booers. They pledge support to their team. They have demonstrated the love for their team and for their players over history. There are countless examples. David Beckham, persona non grata in this country. Manchester United fans demonstrated nothing but love and support for him. Eric Cantona became unwelcomed in English football at one point. Manchester United fans demonstrated nothing but unilateral, partisan, aggressive support in favour of Cantona. They loved it. They loved him. And that is what they do. They back their team. They back their own. They love their team as long as their team are pulling in the right direction and representing the club properly. It isn't always about results. Losing at home to Brighton isn't acceptable for Manchester United, but I've seen Manchester United getting battered at home and they still sing and support their team. I've been in the stadium. I remember beating them 3-1 in, 2001? An amazing game. We battered them. Stretford End didn't stop piping up, didn't stop singing, didn't stop celebrating their team. It isn't like that now, and why? I think there are two reasons. The answer, number one, is Sir Jim Ratcliffe. The Manchester United fans are not feeling unified with the club. I think the disparity of fans to board has arguably never been greater, because with the Glazers, at least Manchester United fans knew what to expect. At least Manchester United fans knew that the Glazers were not for them. The Glazers viewed Manchester United as a business and nothing more. So Jim Ratcliffe has come in like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He has pretended to be a local lad. He has pretended to be a man who understands what being a Manchester United fan is all about. He has come in, told the story of being a local lad, told the story of being from a working class part of Manchester, told the story of understanding the struggles that Manchester United fans have, the way that they view football, the way that life is going for them at the moment. And what has he done? He has come in and done exactly what the Glazers would have done time and time again. He has come in and he has basically sold the fans out at every opportunity that he could. Put the tickets up, made it impossible to miss games, penalised season ticket holders. Everything that I nearly said Malcolm Glazer. Everything that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done would totally chime with the way that the Glazers would have operated. So Manchester United fans are feeling totally disenfranchised from their club. Then the team. The team are just woeful. And yes, it's unacceptable. They have lost 10 Premier League games this season. We have only played 22 games. They sit in 13th in the league. However, I feel like there is so much more going on than simply this result. I feel like there is so much more going on at Old Trafford when they are booing their team, when they are booing the board, when they are booing the direction that the club are moving in. It isn't simply losing to Brighton 3-1. That's the excuse. Maybe that's the thing that lights the fuse. But what is going on at this club? Like Manchester United, the biggest club in the country, one of the biggest clubs in the world, a British institution. How are they getting done 3-1 at home by Brighton? And the reason they are is because of mismanagement. The reason they are is because of idiocy in the boardroom. That is what has happened at Manchester United. And the disparity between the fans and the players, and the players and the board, and the board and the fans, and the manager and the players, it seems. It's just a complete and utter calamity. And I feel so sorry for Ruben Amorim. Anybody that is exploring why it went wrong, anybody that's exploring why Manchester United fans are booing. And look, I don't like Manchester United, by the way. I have no dog in this fight. All I'm doing is trying to issue some perspective, because I'm seeing some nonsense on social media. People questioning why Manchester United fans are booing. They have a right to boo. They're not booers. They are principled, not booing. They are principled football fans who generally have a propensity not to boo. So ask yourself why. What's tipped them over the edge? Why are they doing that? Rather than sneering, rather than being on social media hoping for retweets or whatever, try and understand it. And it is very fascinating as to what has pushed them over the edge to this level. From Amorim's perspective, I feel sorry for the fella. What can he possibly do? There is no amount of tactical tweaks that can make this a good team. There's no amount of coaching that can make Rasmus Højlund a good forward. There's no amount of work that he can possibly do on the training ground until he gets a vast swathe of new personnel. There is just nothing that he can do. And it all stems from mismanagement in the boardroom. This ownership have been atrocious. You look at some of the players that are being forced to play football by Ruben Amorim because that's all he's got. And it is unbelievable. Like giving Eric Ten Hag the keys to the kingdom in the summer is one of the worst things that Manchester United have ever done. It is costing them time and time again now. I mean, Andre Onana, we're going to have to talk about it. I feel like this is going to be done to death, but Andre Onana is responsible, obviously, for the defeat, I think. Look, they were struggling anyway, but Andre Onana is not a good enough goalkeeper to play for Manchester United. He's not a good enough goalkeeper to play in the Premier League. He is a calamity. He is an accident waiting to happen. And with him in your net, you are ultimately only ever going to go so far. There is a ceiling. Look, I know that Manchester United are 13th. I don't think that is the ceiling. But I do think that there is a ceiling because the result against Brighton, if we're totally honest, it isn't a shock, is it? Brighton are a better team than Manchester United. Manchester United are a bigger club. They're not even comparable in terms of the stature and the history and what they represent. But Brighton are a better team. Brighton are a better team. So realistically, what can Amorim do? The better team won. There's only so much he can do. Look, Amorim's done well. He's set up a defence quite well. He's got a performance out of Maguire lately. De Ligt's been looking good. There have been good times. But we know that these players aren't really good enough. Like, even Mazraoui today was all over the place. I think he's been a good player, Mazraoui. I think he's been a good signing. But all over the place. Dalot has been done for donkey's years. And he is still playing because there are no other options. Because a manager in Amorim's position, I believe, is powerless. Like, genuinely. I am asking you for your information, for your knowledge, for your wisdom. Please do comment below. Let me know what the answer is. Realistically, what can Ruben Amorim do? The team are useless. The team are so rubbish. He has no choice but to play Onana. Who signed Onana? Ten Hag. Who gave Ten Hag money to spend? The ownership. Who gave Ten Hag an extended contract off the back of meeting loads of managers, understanding that he wasn't good enough, deciding amongst themselves that he wasn't good enough to be Manchester United manager? They were openly meeting Thomas Tuchel, Thomas Frank, De Zerbi. They were meeting other managers. And yet, for some reason, they decided to persevere with a manager in Ten Hag who was so clearly out of his depth. They persevered with him. They gave him an absolute fortune. So much money to spend. And he spent it, and he spent it poorly because he's a poor manager. So what are you meant to do? Now, Ruben Amorim is left scratching his head going, okay, we've got one of the most expensive goalkeepers in the league, but he is obviously not good enough. We've got one of the most expensive wingers in the league, but he is obviously not good enough. Like, there are so many signings that Ruben Amorim has made. I don't really know what he can do. And then they're chasing a game. And again, it's just there for all to see. They're chasing a game. Manchester United, the great Manchester United, are chasing a game at home against Brighton and Hove Albion. And they're looking to win the game. They've got to find a way, got to find an answer. How do they get back in this game? Ruben Amorim turns to his bench and he's looking for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he's looking for Teddy Sheringham, and he's looking for Dwight York, and he's looking for all of these iconic players that we know can get Manchester United back into the game. And he's got Højlund. He's got to turn to Rasmus Højlund, a player so chronically out of his depth. How Manchester United didn't sign a player of Harry Kane's quality to lead the line for them, I do not know. But what can Amorim do? Like, I do concede that on some level, some things are on him, right? United, they concede too many goals. I think they have one clean sheet in 15 games or something ludicrous like that. So that is obviously not good enough. But let's be frank. It's such a tough hand for Ruben Amorim. Like, this squad that he has got, it's the worst squad that I've ever known Manchester United to have. And I think, play this game with me, who has a worse attacking line in the Premier League than Manchester United? If you name the clubs, who has a worse attacking line? So who does Rasmus Højlund start for up front? Who does Anthony start for in an attacking position? On current form, who does Marcus Rashford start for in an attacking position? Like, where does Joshua Zirkzee play in the Premier League? Like, he doesn't get in. Where would you draw the line? Let's use Højlund as an example. I'm being really serious here. Højlund, obviously Liam Delap is better than Højlund, right? So Højlund doesn't get into the Ipswich team. Look through the league table. Where does Højlund play? Where does he get in? Wouldn't get a game at Bournemouth, obviously. Wouldn't get a game at Villa, obviously. Wouldn't get a game at Man City, obviously. Wouldn't get a game at Brighton, obviously. Wouldn't get a game at Fulham, obviously. Wouldn't get a game at Brentford, obviously. Like, where are we drawing the line here? Like, where does Rasmus Højlund play? And he is currently playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. What can Amorim do? I'm asking you a question. What can Amorim do? Like, the goalkeeper. Where does Onana get a game if he doesn't get a game at Manchester United. Like, I'm being serious here. Southampton have a better goalkeeper than Manchester United. Aaron Ramsdale's a better goalkeeper than Andre Onana. And that is another gift from Eric Ten Hag. And Onana's embarrassing blunder. Like, Brighton's third goal today, it just summed it up. It's like, it's just schoolboy. It's just not good enough. Like, they were woeful. And, they were losing from basically the first whistle. And it was slapstick defending, sleepy defending. Like, docile, lazy almost. That Carlos Baleba, what a player he is, by the way. He's going to be the next cab off the rank, isn't he? He's going to be the next player to go in the way that Basuma went and Caicedo went. Like, Baleba is the one. I mean, it was a gorgeous ball that he played over the top. Mazraoui made a pig's ear of it, obviously. And, I mean, Matoma and Minter linked up. They did it first game of the season, wasn't it, Goodison Park? And they've done it first game of the season. Nobody's learned from it. Nobody's done their homework. Nobody has watched full winger to winger cross. Like, it's so easy. Manchester United then rallied. They got back into the game when Fernandes scored that penalty. But it was over before it begun. They were never going to win the game. The way that it was Agate, wasn't it, who got done, Ayari, I think it was. Like, it's just ultimately not good enough. And then I'm not joking. Dalot, like, poor. And then you've got Onana's latest blunder. But my question here is, why are Man United fans booing? And what on earth is Ruben Amorim meant to do about this? Because there's nothing surprising about the result. I am genuinely very interested to hear your thoughts on this. So I'm going to upload this video this second. And I'm going to be in the comments listening to what you have to say. Please do share any wisdom. Very interested in your thoughts. Charles.